Hi, my name is Brent Basala. I'm with Cloudian, and today I'm going to walk you through how to do a very basic install of Cloudian Hyperstore for a POC environment. These are bare minimums. This is just strictly for functionality testing. First, you will need an AWS instance, like you can see here on my screen, and we're going to deploy a minimum of 3 EC2 instances to get Cloudian Hyperstore working. Now, the security and stuff of this nature is going to be pretty open just to kind of get it up and running for functional testing. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an instance. We're going to hit launch instance, and then we're going to name this. We're just going to call this Hyperstore POC Node 01. Then we're going to browse the AMIs, go to AWS Marketplace. We're going to type Rocky, and there it goes. Select Rocky. Continue with the launch. Now we're going to select the instance type. The bare minimum is we're going to use the T2 extra large. The T3 uses NVMe drives. There's some potential issues creating disks, so let's stick with the T.2. We need a minimum of 4 virtual CPUs, 16 gigs RAM, but stick with the T2 family. That's what we're testing with. Next, we need to create a key pair, or I already created one. We're going to select my key pair. This will be stored on your drive, and we're going to use a PEM file to connect to it via SSH. Next thing, we're going to select an existing security group or create your own. This is so the nodes can talk to each other. We're going to pick mine. Mine is Brento's Lab Testing. Now we're going to create a minimum of 3 50 gig or larger drives. GP2 is fine. I'm going to create 2 more of these at a bare minimum. This is fine here, none, and we're going to hit launch instance. All right, let's go back to instances. You will see here the is initializing. Let's create 2 more while this is going. Launch instances. Let's go back one more time to get the name so we have it. Launch instance. We're going to name it O2. Search the AMI. Do Rocky here. Search. I hit enter. Search that marketplace. We're going to select. Continue to launch. Make sure we select the T2 extra large. Select that key pair like I showed you. Select the existing security group. Those lab testing. 50. Another 50. So this is for your root volume and 2 drives for your mount points. And launch instance. And the last one. Go back to instance. Great. And browse AMIs. Type Rocky. Select. Continue to launch. We're going to pick the T2 extra large with 4 virtual CPUs and 16 gigs of RAM. Select the Brento's key pair. My security group. And then we're going to pick Brento's lab testing. 50, 50, and 50. And launch instance. And we're going to go to our instances. Let's go back to my instances page. So we're just going to sort these by running so we don't get confused. So we have 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start with this first one here. Make sure it's running. Grab that public IP address. Now that PIM file, I stored it in my directory. I called it BrentosKeyPair.pim. And we're going to change the IP address here and make sure it matches with this. Looks good. Yes, we're in. We need to be root, so we're going to sudo minus. First thing we want to do is we want to change the password because it does need password authentication for Hyperstore to work at a minimum. The next thing we need to do is we need to enable password authentication for SSH. So we're just going to do SSH, SSHD, and we're going to look for the password. And we're going to, in VI editor is what I'm using, and we're just going to put this here, save this like so, and do systemctl restart SSHD. And she's all set. So that's the first node. Next thing we're going to do is prep the other two nodes. I have two prompts here. I'm using iTerm on my Mac, but you can use other products, PuTTY if you're using Windows, or mobile term as well. So let's go to the second node here now. Sure, it says running. We're just going to grab that IP. And I believe I have it already kind of staged here. All I did here is SSH for using the interactive key. Pointing to the key, and then we're going to go like this. Same thing, sudo minus. We're going to do password, passd, create a password. Then what we're going to do next, just like we did the other one, we're going to do SSH, SSHD config. We're going to go to password. Like the other one, we're just going to change it from yes, from no to yes, and we're going to save it. And then we're going to do systemctl restart SSHD. And the third node, third one here now, copy this guy. I already have this kind of pre-prepped, as you can see here. Again, we're specifying the key. Sudo minus. If you're a Mac user, just download iTerm 2. This is what I'm using. You can split the screens. It's pretty nice. And I'm going to put a new password in here, like I did on the other two. And I'll modify the SSHD password. Again, change yes, and then turn off no. And restart the service. Alright, so we're going to kind of minimize these a little bit here so we have more room here. Next thing you're going to do, and I'll give you the information, you can talk to your solution architect for the latest bin file, but I'm just going to curl it. It's really easy. In your PuTTY session or your iTerm session, I just did curl it with the bin file here and with the location. We're going to do this on this first node here. That's where we're going to do everything. We're going to call this the config master. Once that's done, I'm going to grab the patch and then I'm going to grab the license file. Now we're at 100%. I'm going to grab the next one. This is the patch. Give it a second. All right, and the final one. And that one's real quick. Now we're going to change, we're going to do an LL, and then we can see the three files that we grabbed. We're going to do a change mod on the Cloudian Hyperstore 8.2.5 bin file. This is the actual binary file that extracts out to all the software that's needed for Cloudian Hyperstore. Once we do that, we change mod it. Now we're going to actually extract it. We do that by simply specifying the directory here and the license file. This takes about 3 or 4 minutes. I'll let you know when it's complete. So you can kind of see here where it doesn't have all the dependencies. It's going to go grab them. So it'll take another minute or so. All right, it is now extracted. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to, if you look here, it kind of walks you through the steps here. I'm also following the the pre-install, the checklist from this actual installation guide here. It's on page 19 of this guide. That's kind of the steps I'm following as well. So you can follow this along. That's kind of what you see here, what I've done so far. So the next thing we're going to do is I like to change to the directory, what we call the staging directory. So once we have this, we're going to run a process called system_setup. And we're going to designate this first node as what we call our config master. Now, if you're doing a full install and you're doing a lot of preparatory work, there's some more different steps you can run. At a minimum, I'm going to keep the IP address, the node names, to make it very simple, but you can go and change it by going to option 1. The installation guide goes more in depth on this, but we just want to get this up and running to kind of give you functionality testing. But you can change the name here, the domain name, you can do VLANs and all that sort. I'm just kind of showing you. You can set your time zone if you like. We're going to do the bare minimum for this to get this working. So we're going to do option 3. We need the disk, so we're going to hit setup disk, and we're going to hit number 3. What we want to do is we're going to hit configure selected disk. Proceed. Going to go and format those drives. And that is it. You'll see them red now. The next thing we want to do is we want to do 8 to prep the nodes to add to the cluster. See these 2 down here? We're going to add those. That's why we did the SSH and stuff of that nature. So we're going to hit 8. We're going to prep the node. But before we do that, let's add these host names to the host file. So one thing I forgot to add is we're going to add this as a host entry to keep it simple. Just do an insert, and then we're going to put the IP in here to make it very simple. Because we're doing this using our Fusion DNS, so it doesn't require any DNS. So you can see the IP there, that's the host name. We're going to do the same thing on the other one too. And this one, I have to grab it, but it's right here. And actually, we're just going to X out of this, and we're going to do the same thing over here. Grab this guy right here. Yep. Do insert here. The bare minimum to get this working. All right. Let's go back into the system setup. Now we're going to go to number 8 here. Prep the nodes. I'm going to grab this 172. 3110.15. The root user, that password I told you about. Pushing software to the nodes now. And a bare minimum what we need to do is we need to create those disks, and then we're going to create a topology file. So we're just going to hit 4. We're not going to worry about anything else. Okay. We're going to get out of this. And we're going to go back. And we're going to prep the last node here. 172.31 4.99. We're going to put that password in. It's going to do the same thing. Set up those disks. Hit C. P. X. So we're P and we're going to exit out of this now. Now we're going to set up the cluster topology. So we're going to go to number 4 for cluster topology. Hit A. We're going to put like POC.local here. You can use the defaults here. This is you'd follow the naming that you want to do, but we're going to use this for now. This is the node name. We just named it IP dash like AWS did for us. DC name's fine. This is correct for this one. The internal interface is if we use a backend network and a front end network. The backend, the internal interface would be the backend, or the secondary would be the actual interface name. We're not going to do that for this instance. We're going to enter. Yes, we're going to add another node. We're going to add these bottom 2 down here. So we're going to be really careful with this, because it gets special characters if it won't let me do backspace for some reason. So we're going to do 172.31-10-15. DC1. We're going to make sure we put the right IP here. Again, no backend network. Make sure that looks correct. And then the last one is we're going to do IP -172.31. And I did it again, but we're gonna edit it then because I made a mistake. Didn't like it. That's perfect. So it's 172-31-4-99. We're gonna put, that's the data, and then we're gonna put the right IP here, 172.31.4.99. I'm looking down here. No backend, we're gonna hit no. What I want to do is I want to show it, make sure these are correct and match up. And we're going to save it. Yes. And that's it for the topology. Now we're going to do the install. So we're going to specify /Cloudian install.sh, a subparameter called configure-fusion for the DNS, since we don't have DNS set up, and force-warnings to bypass any of the warnings that we have. And this is in that staging directory, the 825 directory. We're going to hit enter. Now we're going to do the pre-check again. Hit R. Make sure everything's okay. That's fine right here. I believe it's a bug because of what we have it named. Everything looks good. X. And now we're going to hit 1 to start the installation. We're going to use the Cloudian installation key. Hit yes. And this is going to go through, probably take like 10-15 minutes. I'm going to stop the video off and on to kind of show you the areas that you need to check. It's going to go through the pre-installation packages on each of the 3 nodes. At this point, we're just going to hit enter. We're going to enter on this as well. These is where you actually put your time servers, but just for this, we're just going to type this. You put your DNS here if you had it set up. Let's just get functionality test. We're going to go by IP address. This would be defined a DNS if you wanted that set up. And this is the Cloudian Management Console as a CMC. And now it's going to go through the configuration piece. Yeah, it's going to run through for a few minutes here. I'll let you know when I get to the next portion. Now it's actually going through installing the packages on the nodes here. So we'll do the first one, second one, third one here. And then after that, it's going to start starting services and stuff of this nature. So it's going to take a few more minutes. Typically, it's like 5 or 10 minutes per node, depending on the instance. That's how long it takes. See, it's starting. And it's running on that node. It's going to go through a couple more processes. I'll let you know when we're complete. So now you can actually see that it is now completed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use the IP address because of the DNS, but just to show you everything's working. I copied this IP here and we're going to go to 8443 for secure. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click on this. And there is what we call the CMC, the Cloudian Management Console. So we're going to log in as admin the first time, and the first time password is public. Password is required, so we're going to put public here, and I'm going to put a password in here that I like. Use the special characters, make sure they match. When you first install the system, sometimes these settings won't be, it'll still say 0 and it's still trying to come up. I spent a little time before I brought this up, but you can see here the version ID, it's healthy, the storage. If you do see this as all zeros, don't worry, sometimes it takes 10 or 15 minutes to update, but I spent a little bit more time on this, so this is what it'll look like. So within the system, the first thing we need to do is we need to define what we call storage policy. That's how we protect our data. We need a minimum of 3 nodes, and we do this with replicas, so RF3. So we want to hit create a storage policy, and it gives you that option here. So we're going to create, we're just going to call RF3. And I can go over this later on all the details, but it's going to get this kind of showing you how to get it working. We have one data center using replicas. You can see the 3 different nodes here. Here's the consistency setting. So quorum is a quorum of the 3 nodes. We can set group availability. We can set compression and workload types. We're just going to go ahead and hit save to create that. I can go into another conversation on how one of these work. You can even go to the help file. It'll actually even show you how what storage policies are. It's kind of links to what you're doing. So if you want to have more questions, you can go into that. Now that we actually have a RF3 policy, we can actually go to the other pieces now, and we can set up, go to users and groups, and we can create a group. So we're going to go ahead and create a new group. We're just going to call this, I like to say local users. And you just select, the breeding plan you want to do and hit save. Once we do that, we create a user, and we go to local users now, just hit search. We're going to hit new user, and we'll just call this user 1. Being real creative here. Put it into a group. This is where the multi-tenancy comes into place. So each user can be signed using role-based authentication. You can have a group admin manage its users and have its own data with its own buckets. So we go here and just put a password in here. And we hit save. And now you have a user. And just to kind of show you, now if we go to the actual user, you can see you have users, you have credentials here, you have an access key, you have a secret key, and this is actually how you connect to the object store. To create a bucket, we can simply just log off, change to the local user. I call it user 1. And then we just call it, bucket 1 or bucket 1. It has to adhere to AWS standards, so no uppercase, no lowercase, no dashes. There's the storage policy. You can enable object lock if you like. It's enabled with the license that we had. You hit create. And then we can go in here, click on the bucket, and we can this is upload a file. We can just grab a little small file here. And there you go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to patch the system with 8253 to kind of show you how that works. So we already have that file, so I think we had it here. So we're going to go back, we're going to log back in, and it timed out. We're going to log into that config master, that first node. And then we're going to log in as sudo to get root access. We're going to ls that directory. Remember the patch that we had. Real simple how to run this, and it's in the documentation, but I'm just going to show you. It's hsctl is the command that we use, and then we do install patch, and then we do the patch name. I did it wrong, so we're gonna walk through here. So if we do, I had it backwards, patch install, you can see the patch here. So it's intuitive, so if you don't know the syntax, we can just type hsctl patch. It'll tell you install. So if we go back here and type install, and then we type the name of the patch that we had. It was the Hyperstore capitals. We hit enter, and this is how we patch our system. It's going to go through and do the patch. It's going to restart these services. There's several services that are on each of the servers. Every piece of software is on each one of the boxes, independent of each other, so it's very easy to upgrade. So we're going to upgrade these services: the Cloudian Agent, the S3 service, the Hyperstore service, which is the secret sauce of the system, IIM, Redis, and the CMC, which is the interface I showed you. So we're just going to hit yes. And this will probably take about 5 minutes or so. I'll let you know when it's complete. Okay, we're on the last node here now. Should almost be complete. I think this will probably take another minute or two. But you can see how it goes through, backs up the files, updates the packages, utilizes this process we call hsctl, Hyperstore control command. And there we go. The patch is complete. So now we're going to go back here, and I believe it's going to have a sign out, and we're going to log on as a system admin. So it changes back to system admin. It does support LDAP too. We could do that in another video. We're going to log in as admin. Put the password that I signed. Staying here, we have one more configuration with SMTP. But now you can see it's 8253. We have updated the patch. If you go to the cluster, you can see the host names here, the services, and you can see if you're under cluster configuration, you can see we have a 1 month sample temp license. Object lock is set to compatible. So another product we have HyperIQ, which we could talk about, but it shows your endpoints here and the names and stuff of that nature. And that is it for the AWS portion of the POC basic functionality testing installation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you for your time.